Welcome to another episode of Templar Talks. This time we're at episode number 8 and it is a special about Inferno Metal Festival as well as the conference where I have been attending.
In Norway.
Yes, in Norway. I've seen a couple sessions that we were going to discuss and one of them is even gonna be a specific special episode that we're gonna record later. But for now, I think let's start first with conference part and maybe at the end we'll tell a little bit about the shows that I've seen.
Nice.
The first session was about podcasts. So,
yay!
I mean, there were like 2 rooms next to each other and 2 sessions at the same time. I chose to go to the podcast one because obviously we have a podcast too. And the title was Podcast Killed the Radio Star.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, I have a background in doing radio. I used to love it a lot. So doing a podcast sometimes brings a bit back that memories because being in the radio station and doing what I was doing was not so much about playing the music, but more about like the talks that you have in between about the music, the meeting of people who listen to other genres and such. So yeah. That's cool. Coolest thing about a podcast, I guess. Title is that, but I think the complete story is not so much about the title. What we were going about in this podcast session. Let me talk a bit about the guest. There's one guy that called Sayan, whatever. I hope I pronounce it right. He's a musician, plays in a black death metal band, Trivax or something. So yeah, he was one of the session members. Then there was Jackie Smith from Into the Necrosphere, which is quite a known podcast in metal. Yeah, maybe in a few years of Templar Talks will be at his level.
Who knows?
I don't know. I've listened to it a couple times just to see a bit about this guy and what he is. And then there was Pedro and his son Antonio from AMP React series, which is at YouTube actually. So.
Okay. So there was no radio station host?
No, there was one other guy that was supposed to be there, but he didn't make it. What was his name? Oh, that was Frank Gotla, indeed, from Metal Injection. I don't know why he didn't show up. They probably said, but I didn't register that. He wasn't there at least.
They're discussing like the normal radio station hosts?
No, they were talking about the podcasts.
Yeah, that they take over listeners
impact.
from the radio.
No, not so much. Not so much. I mean, I think it's more catchy song phrase that they took just from videos till Killed the Radio Star, or sort of like that.
Okay.
I think the idea what they were talking about mainly is about how quickly it rises and also in how easy it is to start one and make one in the sense of they were telling like, we're just recording in the kitchen and I didn't have a studio. It's just easy. Well, guess what? We don't have a studio either. We're having something in common here.
Yeah, but I'm not standing in my kitchen either, it's...
No, true. I do have a nice office room, which I soundproofed and, not soundproofed, but did a lot of work on acoustics and everything. But it's still just a normal office room in my house.
Yes, not professional studio, no.
No, indeed.
But it's easier to start one than starting a radio station, that's true,
And I mean, for us, this Templar Talks is quite a sister talk, as I used to call it, amongst friends. It's us talking and that, but they're like doing more interviews sometimes, having guests over. Of course, we have been talking about getting some guests sometime as well, which we already had one in the planning, but we will not talk about too much yet. Yes. So yeah, that was the thing. How much it helps to work together with other podcasters, and I think also it really helps that if people like engage with it a little bit. If I see how quickly Templar's Talk is growing already, like I would not have expected it to be that good right away. Like people seem to like listening to a bit of sister talk from the zombie sisters of Templars.
Yeah, well, I have to say that I'm actually not a big podcast listener myself. Actually, I listen to only one about music, and that's the Ellen Averill podcast. I quite like him talking, enjoying his music brainwaves. And I think we're doing a little bit of that as well. You know, it's just us talking.
Yeah, true.
And I think a podcast is a little bit different than just a normal radio station. I mean, in a radio station, they have to just pronounce the next song, talk in between about the song or something what happens, the news. But we, I don't know. We discussed new albums. We discussed shows we went to, how we experienced the show.
True, but you obviously haven't been listening to lots of mainstream radio then, no. Because I have to sometimes in the when I'm around other scenes, and I can say that there's a lot of blah blah bullshit going on and very little music nowadays. So
I still listen to it in my radio. In my car.
In your car, yeah. No,
so that's still 35 minutes, and there's a lot of songs in those 35 minutes. But sometimes, of course, there's a lot of talk.
I guess it depends on the station. Also the station, of course. But yeah, I think it was cool to hear people's perspective and how they have grown community with their podcasts. Yeah, some good tips about things, but I think nothing that we as Templars Talk haven't discussed or planned about before. So it was good to hear, and I found these two guys from AMP React very very interesting to hear them talk. They're very down to earth and nice people as they came over to me. Yeah. So shout out to them.
I do think you can build like you said, you know, if you build some sort of community around a podcast, I think it's easier.
But for them,
than
it's
when
more
you
like
just have a web blog with or a magazine promoting bands.
Yeah, but it's for me. It's also funny that because they actually have a YouTube channel, not so. I think not the podcast so much, but it's a bit in the same. And yeah, these React videos there will be coming up. Talking about that in one of the other sessions we can discuss, because these guys have been involved a little bit more with their insights. Yes. So to say, but for podcast session, I wasn't so sure why they were there in that sense, and that's not negative or something. But I would have expected to just have 4 podcasters or something. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, we cannot deny that people like listening to podcasts. I mean, when I'm working and doing stuff that doesn't need my 100% deepest attention, I very often choose to like listen to a podcast. And also when I sit around around other people, like I was flying back from Oslo today. And there were crying children in the plane. And I was just like, oh, thank God I have a podcast downloaded. I'm tired. I don't want to listen to music that's going like all over the metal into my ears. I've just coming back from a festival with 4 days of black metal. So a nice podcast. Sister talk. Not us, but other sisters. Yeah. And that was perfectly making me zen during my flight. So, yeah. Yes. I guess people start to embrace podcasts even more also when they figure out that, you know, there's so much to choose from to what to listen, and you don't have to listen to endless commercials anymore on mainstream radio. So, yep. Then the second session I went to was about diversifying revenue streams for musicians. We had a host that was from Indie Recordings label. Her name is Linda, if I remember correctly. And yeah, we had some guests from one girl was from Century Media. There was Martin Kohler from the US, some what is it, Spiker Media or something, and Andy Farrow, and he's from Northern Music. He's a manager doing that sort of stuff. I've seen Andy doing these kind of sessions before in other sorts of events, and I've actually been in touch with Andy for some things in the past, long time ago, not any recent things, but hey, sometimes in the beginning I always think he's a bit like very British, hard to get, but he has some very good management points usually. I remember specifically in this session because he was talking about some countries giving out grants to touring artists, like Norway, Finland does.
Okay.
And he literally said that he's one of his bands, maybe a UK band or something, if they go on tour and they need like another band to join, that they prefer to choose one of those bands because they have the grant and they can afford a little more, so they can upgrade the whole tour. So he didn't. I think he didn't use the exact term. He had a different word, but I forgot about it. But it was a bit like grabbing the honeypot or something. So.
Well, I can understand. I mean,
yeah.
I hear
absolutely.
I hear a lot of European bands having a hard time going to the UK or going, I think, Spain as well. I don't know why, but
yeah.
You know, so if there's like a grant you can get and you know your brand that you're gonna attract to your tour is gonna have the money to pay things, yes.
Yeah, that too, and I found it very interesting the way that they were talking about it. It was definitely sure that not everybody thought of it like that, but yeah, that Andy is a very well experienced guy, has been going on for many years. I think he also has been writing a book about what he does in his job. If I can't remember the title, but I have it somewhere.
Well, it's in the end, it's still a business, you know. It's the music business.
Of course.
It's not. I think a lot of fans sometimes forget that it's not only the band that wants to play in your. Oh, they're not coming to my town. You know, it's.
Yeah, true. But
it's a lot more than just.
Yeah, but my point is more like Andy is really like a manager. Like you could literally put him in another business. And he would do very well. Yeah. He I don't know if he has any management training or like schooling or something, but I have, and I recognize a lot of that. I think he has, and that is something that I don't see with a lot of other managers in the music business. They became managers because they have grown into that role, but Andy has a lot of knowledge, so he has got a lot of good things to say. Although he seems very more taking a more responsive role into the discussion. I think they have been talking a little bit about artists becoming influencers themselves. Saying things also like, when you. You have to think about your merch, you have to do whatever
the brands
other
they
things,
wear,
brands, but also like not only looking at the shows, but also doing what they were calling sync. And I think not every listener understands what sync really is, but it's like when the music is used in some Netflix series, for example, or some movie or whatever, something like that. And I found that very
Yeah.
interesting that they brought that up, because apparently it's very hard to get into that. But if people know how to find you, they come at you. And
Well, I
the
remember.
the thing they wanted to say about that also is that it really matters to stay onto your email basically, because if the opportunity is there, you have to respond really
Quickly,
fast.
yeah. But it's also a good way to reach new people. I mean, and it's again about a Finnish band. I'm sorry, but I remember what was the TV series with the Wednesday? It's a Netflix series, I think, and they played one of the songs from Apocalyptica, because the Wednesday girl, she plays cello.
Yeah.
And then they featured one of the Apocalyptica songs on it.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing about that, but I think that's not the most famous song from that show.
No,
though.
of course, but that's the one. That's something I remember. I'm not watching Netflix to hear the songs.
I don't watch Netflix, so I'm terrible. I don't do all these streaming
So I think
service things.
if you get that, there's revenue in that, not only directly as the TV series will pay you for using your track, but also there's so many people who will hear your song and they will check you out, which it doesn't bring in cash right away, but it's sometimes.
Yeah, and I also think it was not necessarily about them using your track, but it's also them requesting something. I want to hear it sound like this and this, and then you have to make it like that.
Yeah.
But never
or video
mind.
games. There's
also
a lot of songs in musicians
video,
that write music for video games.
Yeah. I will come a little bit back because there was a little bit of a session on that as well. I found it interesting that the way they were looking at that. I don't think the outcome was very surprising for many, but it was a good way to see how these people think about it. And I think all three of them had good points to make. Then that was the first day. I had another session, and there we go to the video games. There was this guy, Sebastian, Couto. I don't know. Excuse my French. I am not really, haven't really spoke any French any reason since high school, basically. Parlez-vous français? Non.
Non, je ne comprends pas.
No. But yeah, anyway, back to Sebastian. He is a metal vocalist for some band, and he does make. He has some sort of teaching metal vocal school or something, and he does throat singing. Also, he was talking a little bit about all the games that he worked with, which is an endless list. And for somebody who doesn't games like me, there's only a few that I recognized. So I can mention a couple. It was Baldur's Gate 3, Warhammer, Gotham Knights, Meteor Maker, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Dead by Daylight, Dungeon and Dragons Dark Alliance, Shadows of the Tomb Raider, Far Cry 5, that one I knew, Rainbow Six Siege, Outbreak, and Prince of Persia, I forgot. Assassin's Creed. I heard about that one too. Yeah, I do have gamer friends, so that's why I recognize some of the titles. But if you ask me what exactly is this about, I don't know. But that doesn't matter. He showed also that how these voices were made traditionally, and also explained why voice actors have issues with their voice after recording these kind of vocals for a long time. Except for, like, if you're a metal vocalist, you're more trained to make these kind of sounds. So he explained a lot about that. It's a bit more technical, so I should probably leave that for Sebastian to explain rather than me copying his words. That would be nice because he can do this like 100,000 times better than I can. So yeah, he showed some videos, some clips on how it was recorded and also how it's sometimes it's a little bit edited. Yeah, that was cool, and I think there were not as many people there as I would have expected for this kind of session. Oh, he is actually, I just noticed, he is not French, he's Canadian.
But they speak probably French.
Yeah, they are French. They have a French part. Uh-huh. Well, I didn't really know the guy, but yeah, he was interesting to he had a good story. He went really fast by going through these sounds and how he did them. Yeah, very interesting. He seemed to have a lot going on, where he grows a lot of people into doing this kind of job. And speaking about revenue streams, this could certainly be one if you're like good at that. And yeah, I mean, I've been close to some people in the past that have been doing a lot of work with game industry as well, like doing the sound design and such. So I already knew that this really is a thing, and games keep growing. You have mobile games everywhere, every kind of games that go out in what is it? Not only in your phone but also on Facebook or whatever. So yeah, it's a business that keeps growing. Even though I recently heard some game studios have been firing people or something, but I guess at some point the market corrects itself a little bit. But yeah, good. I really liked that session. Now that was the sessions I have been attending on the first day, because there was some other sessions after that, but I decided not to do these because I had to also go to the festival and see a little bit of the bands there. And therefore, I first needed to check into the hotel and get my photo pass and everything, and that takes time as well. So I couldn't see the last two sessions that were at the same time, so I had nothing to pick. Then the next day, there was also some sessions. I saw 3 again. The first one was about art, where we talk about real life art versus AI, and real life being like a painting or a drawing or sketch or something that's made by an artist.
Yeah, well, metal has a lot of designed, artworks on their
AI.
CDs. So
yeah, a lot. Like, funny thing is that that they had, what was it, 4 people in there, I think. Was it? Yeah, 4 people in the session. One of them is Kim Dias Holm from Norway. Yeah, the guy sketches a lot from concerts, and yeah, he's literally standing in a photo pit sketching.
Painting.
Or no, sketching with the, I think, markers, if I saw it correctly. I don't know. I found him funny. Then there was Nick Moort, which is also a Norwegian guy. Well, also, I think all of the guys who were in the session were having some exhibition going on in the festival as well. I've walked around there. I've been looking at them, but I didn't have enough time to go into it very deeply. So that's a pity. But I'm sure many people did, because it was a lot of people were already asking on the first day if they could go there, and by then it was only open for people from the conference. So. There was a French guy, David Thierry. Excuse my French again. And there was Costin Romanian. I am so terrible in languages.
So next time you should practice on your names.
No, I'm not going to because I suck.
So, but what did they discuss on the panel?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that they was asked, are you people pro or con? And there was only one of them who was really fully con, and the rest was somewhat pro, but not like all in. And yeah, I think if you look at it, it was very clear that most people see the AI as a tool
Yes.
to do the art with.
It can help. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them explained, like, yeah, if I want something specifically, like, I don't know, what did he say? He mentioned something like a tree and a woman together or something, and then he wanted to know how the shadows should fall or something. He would put that up in AI and put that as a reference in a folder, which, like, let's be honest, most artists have. Like, also tattoo artists, they have complete binders with reference
Examples,
material. Yeah, so that's not really any strange thing, I think.
No.
And I think, yeah, that makes sense. A good point, I think that was from Kim Diaz. He said basically, yeah, if somebody asked me to do something for money, and I want a reference material, and I make something in AI, and it comes out exactly as how I have expected it to be, then I have to start again, because then
it's been done before.
The idea wasn't good enough.
AI.
Yeah, indeed. So that was a very fair point. I think also a lot of discussion was about copyrights. And yeah, that legislation is not really following up with the AI development. And yeah, I think, to be honest, nobody seemed to really like these full-on AI artworks that have been going on. I mean, if I look in the social media responses from bands, and where it is obvious that they have used AI also for videos, there's a lot of comments about that from people who don't like it. So it's yeah, the fans don't seem to like it that much. Then again,
but I do think it's coming. It's not taking it over, but I think I saw, I don't know what magazine it was, but there was a magazine with an artist, and I think it was a Dutch magazine, and this artist, I think it was a pop singer, girly. They had a whole interview with her, and she got dressed up. They did a photo shoot. So the photo shoot was still there, the clothes were still there, but everything in the background was designed by AI. Like dreamscapes, like a fairy tale, like poppy. And I think in that case it worked really, really well, but there was still the photo shoot, and there was still the whole thought behind it. And I think in that way it can work really well, even as a cover, but not when it takes over completely, you know?
Yeah, and I think what some of them said, basically, like, if I get a request from an artist who worked with AI before, full-on AI artwork before, and then they requested me to do something, I don't want to work for that person because he obviously doesn't value art so much. And I was thinking, yeah, or they were just disappointed with the outcome and now want to upgrade, but yeah, that was my thought on it. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't shared my thought on AI there, so I will do that now here. Something that we have to look into is AI is fed by living artists. That's the input. Every artwork made by man is input. Then AI creates something out of that. But we forget that as soon as that artwork is used and goes out somewhere online, it becomes input. So at what point does AI have too much input from AI? we're getting further away from reality. And then we were talking about the 7-fingered humans and such. That's gonna be at some point where AI is eating itself.
Yes.
He starts to see a lot of those kind of weird pictures as a gimmick, and it becomes input. And that becomes something that is to AI, which is not a human and cannot make any deception of whether something is real or not yet, I guess. There still has to be some human input to that. Yeah, I think at some point it will just get further away from any reality or whatsoever. So I'm not too concerned about that so much. I think AI will simply eat itself. But you like to paint. What do you think about AI? Have you played around with AI artworks?
No, like I said, it's not my thing. But I do think it can help. Like I said, the production they did with the singer, the pop singer. I saw the images that looked really, really well, and it was really pretty. And there was still an element of real art in it, you know, with the photography, and it has to mesh together perfectly. But I don't think it will take over.
No, I don't think so.
And in a way, you know, one other thing, you know, I think artists uses other artists as well as inspiration and input, and nature and whatever not. And
that was my thought as well. Like,
so yeah. In the end, you know,
yeah, I mean, AI is using reference pictures the same way as you are in that sense.
I mean,
the copycatting might be different, but
yeah.
Yeah, in
it's
the
still,
end,
in a way,
it's still. It also reminded me to that case that Kat Von D has against her, where she tattooed a picture of somebody on someone's arm. I think, if I remember correctly, some famous person. I don't know. I don't remember who it was. It's not even relevant for the story anyway. But she got sued because the photographer said that it was too much copying from the picture.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a compliment because then apparently it's been so realistic. On the other side, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't really know what to think about that. I can imagine that as a photographer, you're not too keen on people just grabbing all that without just putting a license on it or something. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, it's not like you printed it right on the skin. I mean, that's some serious skills that you have to put into it, getting it on there, you know? It's not a flat surface or something. Yeah. So anyway, I haven't really heard if there's already an outcome to it, but yeah, that
I don't know, and I didn't heard about it.
Yeah.
But we will see. I mean,
in the end, people were like years ago, oh, Bitcoin is going to be the next thing and takes over everything. Oh, really? It still didn't happen? NFTs, they're all and everything. Oh, well, that kind of bursted. That's really not a thing. Now it's AI is the big thing that we all have to fear and whatever. I'm not too afraid. Yes, it's kind of creepy if I hear that complete voices can be copied and what all the bad things that can be done. I see that there's politicians who gets AI'd into a porn movie or something. I'm like, yeah, that could have been done with Photoshop as well, you know? So it's like, yeah, now it's AI, but it's not like people didn't do such things with Photoshop or something. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, well, if I see a politician show up in a porn movie, I'm not gonna question like, oh, is this real? Really? Is it normal that politicians do these kind of things? Common sense alert is still in our heads, in our lives. But yeah, the next session then where I went to is something that's gonna have its own episode. So I'm not gonna talk about it just now. It's a topic that we have discussed already some months before to bring out into a podcast episode, and then this session showed up about the same topic. So yeah, we'll skip about that one. And then let's see, I went to one final one, and that was a bit about PR in music. Yeah, I don't know how much yeah, for
Interesting.
us it is, but for listeners, I don't know. It's they were wondering if influencers, content creators were to be embraced for promoting music and such. And then I'm like, yeah, okay. You're calling somebody a content creator now because he makes a YouTube video or a podcast or whatever, or posts pictures on Instagram whatsoever. But in the end, they were talking a bit about traditional media like printed magazines, which into this big questionnaire from, I think, is it Nuclear Blast doing that one? I filled it in myself, some questionnaire, so I know that what they're talking about. They're asking you where do you discover new music, and only 2% still finds it from printed magazines. They said in the entire US, there's only one printed metal magazine that comes out every month. The other ones, I think 2 or 3, she said, they're coming out every 3 months. Like, wow,
Okay.
stay relevant. What am I reading about the news from 3 months ago? Really? Are you ever concerned about my show review not being online like at the same evening as the show was? Well, I won't be anymore. So after hearing that, to be honest. No, so that being said, I think, isn't the writer of a newspaper, printed magazine, whatever, isn't he just as well a content creator? Because, yeah,
Yes.
so
We create content, only it's a different medium.
I'm
Yeah.
like, we're calling them, are we changing something? No, we're just changing the media. We're not changing
Yeah.
into content creators or something, or influencer, if you call it like that.
Well, to be an influencer, you have to have a large following to be
Yeah,
of influence. It's not like I write a review of a show I went to and like 100 people see it. I'm not an influencer, in my opinion. But you can say if one people from those 100 people will go to an next concert, you influenced that person.
yeah.
But
I still like it. Like,
yeah,
sometimes you come across people and that they're coming to me and say, "Oh, I saw your review from this and this band in whatever times ago, and that's where I discovered this band, and now it's my favorite band." And I'm like, "Oh wow, that's like super cool,
cool.
isn't it?" So if that makes me an influencer, then call me an influencer if you want. I am a content creator. There's no denying into that. I mean, I'm registered as one, so yeah, that's what I am. If you think that writing isn't part of that, that's your thing. I mean, right now we are doing everything. We're having a podcast. We're having the YouTube. We're having whatever it's needed. We still have the written articles, so we are influencers in that way. It's like when it's something is a large following, because we also discussed, for example, Instagram posts that some Instagrammers do, which have maybe a large following, but the content created isn't really digging into the product so much, but the story is more about the influencer and not so much the product.
Yeah, I find that always funny. You see those. I don't follow a lot of. Actually, I don't think I follow any real influencer. But then you see someone promoting product X, and then, the week before they never even heard about product X, and then they got an email, do you want to promote this product, and you get this amount of money, and then the influencer shows it in their stories, and then you're like, okay, but...
yeah, in a sense,
sometimes
how often do we get asked to promote ghost jewelry or whatever jewelry? Gothic jewelry. I mean, if you look into our Facebooks or Instagram, honestly,
Yeah, I'm
we
so
get those
gothic.
so often that if whether we want to promote those kind of jewelry,
Yeah, jewelry.
but also
Yeah.
clothes actually.
Can't even pronounce the word, but
I
anyway.
also got asked
yes.
for clothes to do that. I'm like, what are you asking me that for? Really? I guess it's a way of doing things.
Yeah, and then they say, you're so perfect, you will fit our brand so
Yeah,
perfectly. And I'm like, yeah, did you really look at my profile? I'm like,
exactly. Like, really?
but people who do that, and then they're,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, the product is shown to the whole followers. And then I think as a brand, you should be aware of how and where your product is shown. And sometimes the how you don't really want to be associated with, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, I certainly have bought something that one of influencers have been promoting, because otherwise I hadn't heard from it ever before. So yeah, I was telling that I have been buying products that influencers have been promoting, because I never heard of that before. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, actually, I want to try that. I mean, I've been a member from perfume subscriptions for a while. That was promoted by some Dutch influencer. And I think I must think about it, because I don't really care who promotes it to me. If I want it, I take it. So I don't remember the influencer maybe so much. I don't know. But I mean, I'm not gonna not buy something because it's been bought by an influencer and I think influencing is bad or something. No, bullshit. If I like something, I will buy it. Doesn't matter if it's on a TV commercial or it's on like Instagram or something. But it's for me, it's like I see content and I think about whether this is a scam or not, or is this actual what I think it is, and then I decide to buy it. I'm not just buying it because she promotes it or something. Do you think you bought something from influencers?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like I said, I don't follow that many huge ass influencers. Maybe there's like, I follow someone on Instagram, a cook, and he promotes his own book, and then I buy the book. But that's not another product.
It's his own, yeah. But
but have I bought anything that anybody else ever shared on Instagram or Facebook or whatever?
I think in the end, like, if you see many people say, oh, this band is awesome, I've seen them there and it's really cool, you're gonna be curious and you gotta check it out. So in a way, you're still getting.
But that's my
you're still getting influenced.
My curiosity into things. Yes. But I don't think I ever bought a specific product. Like when there's like an artist that I follow that says I'm using my earphones from brand X, then I will Google brand X and buy it. No. And I think there are a lot of people that are fans from certain bands that if the artist says, oh, I'm now wearing the headphones from this brand, they will immediately go to the website and buy those brands because their idol is using it, So I know how it works, and I, but I don't think myself,
For example, if I like to watch a lot of YouTube, also because I started that literally to do some research for my own thing, literally. Yeah, you see also a lot of promoters or content creators promoting the same brand. So it's obviously that this brand has money to throw at that. For example, what's it called? The web hosting thing. And I can't forget the name. Well, we all know the one where you can like build your own website without any hassle. Then there's, for example, the website where you can go to and learn a lot, like doing courses online, that has been throwing a lot of money at influencers. If you repeat it often enough, people stick with the name, and whether they not directly, they might not directly buy it, but like if in future, for future reference, you might need something like that, then it comes up. And I know, for example, that somebody asked me, "Oh, I want to make a website, but I have like zero skills. What do you recommend me?" And I was like, "Well, I don't use this in this website, but I heard this in many people promoting it, and actually, I also know that in the numbers of websites using that, this website is growing very big, so they probably have something good going on. You should look into that one." So maybe I wasn't necessarily influenced myself, but in a way, the name still sticks there, and I'm still passing on the message. So it does work.
Yeah, but that's been going on since the dawn of time.
Of course. But that's the same, what I'm saying.
So I don't think...
It's not... influencer is not something new. It's just a bit different media that we're using. So.
Oh, I mean, I'm thinking about kindergarten, and you were in high school, or you were not high school. You needed to read books, and you go to the library, and what kind of book did you read? Oh, right, I read this one. It's a good one. And then next time you will take the good one. Yeah, I mean, it's been around for so many years. It's not.
There's in the Netherlands, there's this example of this comedian that was really talking down on some beer brands. Van Heck. And nobody was buying that beer anymore.
That's influencing.
That's what I say, influencing. I mean,
yes.
Who would say now, Joep van Heck is an influencer? Oh my gosh. If my dad would hear it, he would be like, what the fuck? I've been influenced by them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was nice that at least they were all very open to new ideas. I mean, there were some PR people in there, but also Leonie from Nuclear Blast. She had some good insights. Also, but she was also very realistic. Like, people sometimes still think that we're living in an area where bands have millions on the bank that they can throw towards their artists, but that's not the case anymore.
Nope.
That's what she said. Then I was still thinking, and yet looking around me, people paying quite some money to be in this conference altogether. But yeah, that's another thing. To be fair, she's right. Of course, it's not the same as it used to be anymore. For labels, I mean, and yet still so many people seem to think it is. Even for a label as Nuclear Blast, it's not gonna be that easy to just throw money everywhere. So she basically said, there was a question from the audience like, would you pay an influencer? And it was. In the whole team, nobody said no, but also nobody said really like yes. Occasionally, some said like, yeah, if it's this and that, it might be, but nobody was really like, yes, always, or yes, of course. It was a bit talked around, I thought. So it's a really gray area, whether they do or don't. I think was it Leonie who said, yeah, like, sure, people can go to shows if they do this, and that's what we can do for them. Fair enough, I guess. That's their payments. So I guess in that way I'm an influencer, because obviously I get in guest lists for my hard work as a reviewer sometimes. So,
well, the hard work starts.
Yeah. I always found it funny because you do all that and then you go to a show where you even work even more. So. But no, I understand where she's coming from. And here we come back to these React guys that we were talking about before. Because they basically said, we do not take any money from anyone. We respond to what we want to respond. We don't take money from anyone. And I respect that a lot, you know. I think that's really cool. But at the same time, if I add up the costs from all I'm doing for YouTube, podcast hosting, website hosting, investments in traveling and going to places and such, yeah, at some point something needs to come back at you as well, right? Let's be
Yeah.
honest. So there's a fine line between what is doable and what is not doable. But I think there it ties in also to creating different revenue streams. That does not only apply to bands, that applies to basically everyone in the music business. And it will always be a thing, I guess. That was an interesting conversation with these ladies. They had something very interesting to say about PR and how they look at it. Are the written reviews on their decline? Maybe a little bit. I don't really notice it in our numbers on the website, to be honest. But I can imagine that smaller magazines might have this issue more than we do. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's obviously that we choose to change as well, and we'll see where the future leads us. But yeah,
Well, it's the same thing, you know. They say like it's the same when Instagram came into the world. You know, they said Instagram is the new thing. We only watch. Our focus span is really short, so we ingest pictures. We don't gonna read stories anymore. Then they changed that the comment you wrote, the text was going to be shorter because no one is going to read it anyway. But I still think, you know, there's still people who read books, you know. So there are always going to be people who will still be reading reviews, written reviews. But other people, they will check out a YouTube video where somebody
yeah,
is telling about the review, because, you know, we also finding out that people, our brains are wired different,
of course.
you know. Some people can read long reviews. Other people need
Videos.
someone to tell
Yeah,
them.
true.
And other people listen to a podcast like us discussing an album.
That's true, absolutely.
Discussing. And I need
But it's also
so I think it will still be around. And when I go see a band, I sometimes surf online to see if there is a review, if I never seen the band.
yeah, true.
To read somebody else's review from a live gig, to know a little bit how the band is going to be on stage.
Yeah,
you know?
beforehand,
Are
yeah.
they going to be moving? Are they going to, you know, as a photographer, I like to know what's going on stage, but also music-wise, are they standing still like a, you know, is it better to put the CD on or should I buy a ticket? I mean, well, you know, I think...
But then again, there's
Of course.
a point that they brought up, and I think for me it seems common sense, but apparently not to everyone, because they literally said that they had to teach a lot of bands that look at your following. Who are you? Who are your followers? Who are your listeners? Do you have a teenage audience? Then you better be on TikTok. But if you're addressing an older audience, well, maybe web scenes are more your thing.
Well,
That's a thing, because we are living with different generations, and different generations like different things. And
once things.
like we all say now that Facebook is the place where your aunts and grandparents are, not so much on...
Well, it's also the thing that they say that bands are not only a band anymore, but they become a brand.
Yeah. That's definitely a thing.
And being a brand, you do need to know your audience.
Yeah.
Like you said, if your audience is young, you should be on TikTok. If your audience is, I don't know, preferring the CD or maybe an LP, you know, vinyls. I know bands that only put out vinyls because their audience really wants to have a thing in their hands and put it on and then hear the needle crack on the you know. So it's all
I don't know.
It's not anymore just being a band and everything will follow and money will come in.
But
you do have to think as a brand, I think.
Yeah, but for me that always seems common sense. How come people do not realize this?
Yeah, but not to everyone.
What? Like, oh my gosh, you're still selling something, you know?
Yes.
Maybe it's my economic background management background that this seems so common sense to me, but apparently it is not. If I have to believe these ladies, they kind of have to educate a lot of their clients to that. So, yeah.
Maybe we need to do a new business here.
No, that's I leave. That's something these ladies are perfectly well doing. I do not need to worry about that. So, yeah, I think a good applause for them for doing such a great job. Yes. And yeah, we'll see where the future leads us. Let's see. Now, then, I think that's all I wanted to talk about for the conference parts. Yeah, the conference itself, I mean, you meet a lot of people from the business, which is needed. You need to network. And that's very great that you have an opportunity to do that. Yeah, I think for the conference itself, something I will say about that in public is that I think that the organization was at least 75% winging it. A lot of things got announced last minute. Everybody was super nice and helpful and everything when I arrived at the scene, so to say. But beforehand, there was literally nobody answering any of my emails. Which is a bit annoying. I don't know what was going on, but it was obviously that a lot of winging it was going on there. Hey, in the end, they pulled it off. I must say that. But, yeah, my fingers itch because I think it could be better. Even better. Even better. Sorry, I'm a perfectionist and these things matter to me. That's all about the conference. Now I'm really going to the festival. Yeah, day one. Oh my gosh. There was Keep of Kalessin, which was the first band that I went to see. There were some other bands playing before that, but as I previously explained, it was really hard to get there time-wise with everything going on. So I got in for Keep of Kalessin. I haven't seen them for ages. I love them back in the days because I was like, that band, yeah, yes. Cool. So it was really nice to see them. Would I say they were the best of the day? No, they were not. Definitely not. But it's good to see them on stage again. They got something going on there again. So yay, I like that.
But the whole lineup changed, right?
Yeah, I think they had some changes. I haven't checked completely. I just was kind of letting it fall over me. I was like, oh yeah, cool, they're back.
Yeah.
Then I went to the smaller stage where I got surprised by Orm. They played a really good set, so I mean I will go into more depth in the review that I will put online, so I'll just go over them quickly. I saw Nordjævel, which did a good set, really loved it. A lot of people recommended them already to me, but I've seen the band before, so I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer, I need to go see it. But then there we come. And you're gonna laugh because I saw Candlemass and I liked them a lot.
But why am I gonna laugh?
Because I never used to like Candlemass so much.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen them, so I really can't remember.
No, true. But I like it.
But I will see them next month.
I was saying to some persons that I met in the conference, like, yeah, the thing with Candlemass is I don't hate them or something, or dislike them even. No, they're fine. But for me, it's always like, if they are playing and somebody else is playing, I would pretty much always go to the other option.
Yeah.
And now I saw them, and they had a really nice set. It was really good. So I want to give a bit of an applause for that.
Well, I will see them next month.
I guess you will be surprised then. Yeah.
Nice.
I saw the ladies of Crypta doing a great job in the smaller stage. Then I saw Kettle Decapitation. I didn't see their show too much because the thing is, in the smaller venue, of course I was taking the pictures. The photo pit was so tiny that sometimes we need 4 or 5 or even 6 rounds of photographers getting into the pit, which can shoot then 2 minutes before they get chased out for the next group or something. I don't know. That's how it felt like. It's very short, very tiny. You cannot pass each other. So you go in on the one side and out on the other side where people are cramping up around and you can barely pass through while there's other photographers trying to get out of the pit as well. So as soon as you're out, you're basically out of the venue. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go up and wait for the next band because it's hot and I don't want to like battle through it and stand in the back when the tiny Sabine cannot see anything anyway. With all these large metal men in front of me. So, no. At some bands we were lucky and we could go out at the same place that I entered. That was nice, but definitely not for every band. But then the headliner of day one, Campfire. Yay! I was so looking forward to see them again. I mean, we, as Templars, Elvira and me, have been seeing Campfire quite some times in the Netherlands. Yes. Often together. Not always together, but very often we did. And they were always like in the Baruch. They were I think I saw them in Arnhem. I think in Eindhoven. In the small Dynamo downstairs.
Yeah, Dynamo.
Yeah, the downstairs. Small places, always.
Well, I saw them last year. In Noble.
Yeah, but that's still a small place.
That was a bigger
That's
space.
still a small place.
Well, it's not that small.
It's not even mid-size.
No.
So, yeah, and here there were
800, 900.
Yeah, no. I'm like, I mean, here's Camphor on this big stage has a headliner, and I was like looking forward to that because. To be honest, all these small shows, they rocked. It's intimate. The music, it's working out. It's cozy.
It's how we like it.
It's cozy. I don't know.
Cozy.
Yeah, cozy metal from Comfort. So I was a bit like, oh, I'm so excited to see them again because I had to miss them last time because I was on holiday when they were touring. And yeah, they are putting it off. Wow. They had some fire into their show, some pyros. Not too much, just a decent amount that makes it nice. They used the entire stage. It was energetic. The audience was responding very well to it. That was just a perfect ending of day one. Comfort did really well.
I wish I was there.
Yeah.
But I will hopefully see them somewhere this year. But then it will be again a teeny tiny.
Yeah, but that's great. We will like that anyway.
Yes.
So, but this was also very nice and they did great.
Yes, I can imagine. I saw some, they played a few festivals this summer, I think, and I saw some live streams, not live streams, but streams of that. It did really look good, the big stage.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, they did.
Yeah, I can imagine how it was.
Yes, now day 2 we had Arthur Brown as starter. He was also in a conference where they interviewed him, but I was in the other session, so I didn't see that. But it was hilarious. It was weird. And then I had to rush out to pick something up from the hotel, which I forgot. So I didn't see the whole set, unfortunately. But it was very eventful. I did go to see Vorga, but I completely forgot about that. So I have to look back at my pictures to see if I remember anything of that. Then Ultimas. I mean, we've been talking about Ultimas before that I really liked their album and their previous show on the Tuska. So I was really wondering how this would look with the new album out. And it was exactly according my expectations. I must say that I think that not everyone in the audience was completely convinced. And I noticed that some people don't like Ultimas, the band members together. They like more the original bands. And I'm like, sometimes you see people respond to that like that, but whatever. I'm like, I like it, and it was a good show. You can see that they really liked playing there. I like that a lot. Then there was this Umbra Conscienta from Costa Rica. So excuse my language again. They were intense. I can say that. Do I have pictures of it? I did take them, but I wouldn't necessarily think that they had any light on. So, yeah.
There's a shadow in the darkness.
Yeah, and if you see a shadow, it might be red. So, it was, I mean, I don't mind a challenge. That's not the big thing I'm going to complain about. But I think for the audience, it was also a bit like, uh, mm, okay, yeah, you know, you want to see the band that you come to see
Yeah,
also.
I know.
So, yeah, not my thing. Then again, I couldn't see the whole set because the crowd was a bit too much. So I left there. I saw this Carpathian forest, kind of liked them. Then in the small stage was extermination, dismemberment. Well, yeah, cool. Nothing special for me to say about it right now. Solstafir. Oh dear, we're getting a theme here. Yes,
A band I like and you don't like.
but I like the set. They did great.
Yes? Wow.
I managed to stick almost till the end. I mean, I
Woohoo! That needs a party,
yeah,
people.
yeah, but they did a good set, definitely.
Well, the thing is with Solstafir, you need to get sucked into their sound, I
Yeah.
think. Into their and then,
Yeah,
but if you don't get sucked in, it I don't know. I can't explain
think
it. To people who don't know the band,
I think they were also a bit more energetic than before. I've seen them in the enthusiasm for
nice.
playing there maybe came out a bit better. So that's. Then I saw Mantar in the small stage again, but yeah. That were a couple of really nice minutes, and then no place in that overly crowded venue, so I had to rush out to end with Gorgoroth. That's one band I'm always like, oh, that's okay, that's nice to see, but I not necessarily stick around for very long. So they were not my favorite headliner of the festival. Was nothing wrong with the show, so to say, that I need to mention, but it's just me not liking it enough to have it jump out over the others. So Saturday, oh yes, that was amazing. I have to tell a little bit of a story because the first band I was going to see was not in the main venue. There was no conference on this day, so I could actually go to the earlier shows now. And I made it in time to see a Norwegian band called Imbalance. Now, Imbalance has sent me a promo I had to look it up, 2009. And when they sent me that promo back then, they sent a sort of like keychain with their logo in it. You know, the ones where you can add a photo to. One of those with their logo in it. That thing is still swarming around in my house because every time I do a big cleanup, I come across it, and I still haven't thrown it away. So I'm. But the thing is,
one of those plastic cheap things. Brilliant.
Yeah, I still have it.
You see?
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. I mean, I'm a sucker for gifts, apparently. No, to be honest,
silly.
They did send me a good. I think it was an EP back then, because I remember the name, obviously, and that was not just because I keep seeing their logo every time I do a cleanup. No. And I looked up what I wrote in the review, and I was like writing in 2009 or something like that they sound like they are really great to see live.
And now
I went to see them live in this super crowded small place, Niven, called Niven. But I was standing in front of the stage in the corner, and yeah, wow, what the hell are they doing in such a small stage? Will, that guitarist is going crazy with his riffing, man. That was really lovely to watch. It was like, okay, I understand it's not black metal, so I can understand it maybe not the best fit for the John D or something, although not all John D bands were that necessarily black only. But, like, these bands could have played a bit bigger stage. I mean, the audience was definitely for them, and that playing was definitely awesome. Their drummer was energetic as well. I mean, the guy who was singing also, like, he at some point started telling that a month ago he had some some surgery and something removed, so he wasn't sure if he was even able to play this show, but he was there. And then he said lung cancer 0, me imbalance 1 or something like that. I was like, oh, you had lung cancer and now you're here doing your metal vocals? Okay, good for you. Wow. Because I'm well impressed with Imbalance. So shout out to them. Then let's go to Saur, the British guys with the folk music.
I like them.
I followed them a lot.
But I have never seen them live, so I don't know how it's live.
I was a bit worried because I think I did see them live, and I know that the shows are quite calm. And folk for me is always it's not always the biggest thing for me, you know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for them, yeah, it really worked. And there's a lady with a flute. So yeah, I think Sour was really nice opener for the festival. I think a lot of the audience liked them, so good. They were doing really well. And the John D, I saw. Damn it! Do I really have to pronounce that name? I'm gonna try it. Dilintetkurt. I think I did well.
It reminds me how I sometimes pick CDs. Like, what's the name? How does it look like? Yeah, okay, we go see that one. We go listen to that one.
No, but
this sounds as something you should check out at least once, just because of the name.
I know I've seen them. I was there, but I do not remember anything. So I have to look back at the pictures again.
But how were they?
I have to look at the pictures again because I can't recall. That music didn't stick in my head.
Oh.
So why were they there? And why was there imbalance in that Knifen venue? Really? I disagree with this. I am not agreeing with it. Inferno, if you're listening, make notes. So then I went back to the main stage again, where Orbit Culture is playing. Of course, they came out of nowhere.
Well, we know that one.
They came out of nowhere and boomed. The labels were even talking about it in one of the sessions, that they were like not seeing it coming so much. And I was like, oh gosh, it's such a hype. I'm probably not going to like it. Oh. Yes.
But you've seen them last summer.
I did see them. No, did I?
Yes, you did. They played at Into the Grave, small stage.
Oh, I did.
Yes, you saw them, you photographed them.
I know.
You stood in the front photo pit next to me.
Yeah, okay. But I think... No, the thing is, I did know they played in Tuska, but I chose the other option. So... And people were like, why is everybody's going there? I don't care.
They had a lot of smoke.
Oh, not that much here.
They play early in the day. They had a lot of smoke and they had lights. In contrast to some other bands during the day.
Oh, but it's Into the Grave, it doesn't matter, right? It's in the sun anyway.
Go for the photos.
True. True. But, I mean...
Sorry, I pay attention to those things.
back to this stage. It was an enthusiastic audience for them. And they surprised me well. I liked them. I really did. And then I was thinking about the vocals when they come to the cleaner parts, that they reminded me to Wille Laila from Sentenced.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's just me hearing that, or because I was sitting down and couldn't see the full stage from there, because my feet were killing at that point. So I needed to sit down for a moment, but I could still listen to the show and see a little bit of it. And I was like hearing it, and I was like, damn, he sounds like Wille. Like, but only in the clean parts. Only in the very clean parts. Not further on.
I have to listen again.
You definitely have to. Because I was like, Okay, then downstairs to the smaller stage for In Twilight's Embrace. And I must say, I do not recall too much of it either. So, cannot say much. Maybe if I see the pictures, it comes back to me. But hey, I just came back from Oslo, literally, like, I was home for maybe 1 hour before I started the recording. So, I'm a little bit tired still. I had a bit of lack of sleep, if you can understand. Okay, then I went to Me and That Man, and I was looking forward to see that so much. And I really enjoyed it. That crazy country blues influenced stuff. And I found it funny that Nergal even said, like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Why am I booked here? This is not, I mean, I've played here with my other band, and then I could understand, but what am I doing here? But hey, if you guys like it, cool. Well, everybody did like it, my friend. Everybody did. And yeah, of course, he brought some Norwegian guests because Me and That Man has different vocalists. And then live, of course, he does them himself most of the time. Of course, when I was listening to the soundcheck when the curtain was closed, I heard the saxophone and I was like, that must be Munkeby. And yes, it was Munkeby. Of course, he comes to do the feature. Yeah, cool. Nice to see him play and rock. He did 2 songs, one with one of the other guests, which I'm not going to spoil right now because I do think you still need to go and read that review. So I'll leave it for that. But that show was really nice. I really enjoyed it. If you see them around, go check it out. Small stage, Joe Quayle with her cello, electric cello. Yeah. I mean, I have some of the albums, got them for reviewing. For me, it's just not a thing so much. So Joe Quayle Joe Quayle is just not gonna do it for me. Then going to the main stage where it's Borgnaga. I usually like their albums a bit. It always takes me like 100 listens before I like them, but then I like them. But live, every time I'm a little bit disappointed because the vocals are just not coming out as good as on the album. So also here I was a bit like, oh no, where's that volume? Where's the strength in that voice? You know, it just isn't there. Most people in the audience seem to relatively enjoy it. It wasn't too wild stuff going on, but yeah, okay. Back to the downstairs for Cold, where they were headlining this day, and I was looking forward to see them. And I was lucky because I was able to see a little bit more from them this time because we could exit from the other side where I could stand for a little bit more. Yeah, they did a really good set. If you haven't listened to Cold yet, then I would recommend if you're really into the more aggressive black metal sound. Yeah, that Cold is definitely one to check out. They were living up to my expectations fully. So, and then headlining Dimmu Borgir. I'm not the biggest fan of Dimmu Borgir. I don't hate them. I'm not like wearing their t-shirts, so to say. And of course, we've seen them around. They're always nice to photograph, and they do pretty much always a good job in playing a good show. So that's not something that we can be too surprised about to see happening. What I was getting a bit surprised about is that they seem to have chosen their calmer songs for the set a little bit. I guess that was the biggest surprise for me, that they just chose the calmer tracks and not so much the wildest tracks.
Wild,
so to say. But good closer of the day. And then Sunday, oh wow, the last day. It's just like yesterday. Well, it was yesterday.
It was
yesterday.
So tell me the highlights.
Miss Murning, the first band. Oh, I was so much looking forward to see them. I loved their set. But there's a but. They were playing their set very well, but zero connection to their audiences, it seems. It feels like some invisible wall was between the audience and them. It's like
they were standing in a rehearsal room.
I don't know. It just felt like there was no connection or something, even though there were people really cheering for them, you know. But it was just like you saw also towards the end of the set that we're kind of like, less enthusiastic or something. Not because it was a really great set to watch, but they were in their zone, and that zone was theirs, and not so much the audience wasn't getting in. So that was a bit of pity. Then there was this Duitsrit. I don't know. It was okay. Good show, I guess. Interesting enough. Then back upstairs for Winterfeld. Good show, but not really interesting to watch because they're very static. But yeah, nothing more to say about that, I guess. Phantom Fire. Do not recall too much about them. I think it was also one of those bands where, yeah, the light switch wasn't found. Then Cynic. Cynic was okay. Not so much to say about that. Bell Witch in the downstairs again. Yeah, I like Bell Witch. I listened to them before on the Spotify a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, that could be really interesting. Yeah, that was a cool show, but maybe it wasn't like the biggest highlight of the day or something. And then, surprisingly, I think that one of the headlines of today was Vitrol. And I was a bit surprised about that because that's not specifically a band that I would expect in this place to be received this well. But yeah, a little mosh pit, some crowd surfers, yeah, good atmosphere. People were celebrating and having a good time. Yeah, but that's what you always get from Vitrol, don't you?
Yes, I know. We've been talking about them. I think they're maybe some sort of guilty pleasure. I don't know. I just always enjoy them. I wouldn't buy a CD from them, but to see them live, it's you know, they always throw a party. It's always fun. It's always entertaining. And it's a lot better than all those other bands we call
But the funny thing is,
funny play hour.
When I saw them in Tuska last year, there were like still so many people in front of them. Like that field was full to the back.
Yeah.
They should have been on the main stage there. And all of these people were wearing the ears. A lot of them. But here I didn't see that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of time. I've seen them a lot of time. I've seen them a lot of time without the ears. So for me, the ears are still a new thing. I will see that this month.
Maybe. Yeah, cool. But the ears are definitely something that's the Tuska audience brought along. They all had their ears along. But here nobody was wearing ears other than the bands, of course. But yeah, that's just a fun detail I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, then headlining.
But it's fun. I mean, you know, Inferno is quite a black metal.
Yeah, the majority.
Blackish metal festival.
Yeah.
So it's fun if they were quite entertaining the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I think they had the most movement going on.
Good for them.
Then, headlining in the small stage, John D. is Cold Bran. Yeah, they were playing a decent show. I liked it. But then again, did it stick out over others? Not super much. Like, yeah, it was conform. It was a good show. Nothing bad, but it wasn't like surprising me too much. They didn't invent a new wheel or something. And then the very, very, very last band of this entire festival, Take. I had never seen Take live for some reason.
I saw them with Comfort.
I think they were always like, like I would always see. They would always.
You never seen them?
No, I think they were always around when I'm on holiday, for some reason, because I did want to go to one of the other shows with them when they were headlining somewhere, and then I was out of the country. I don't know. But
you never saw them? I think you have seen them sometime, like many, many years ago with me. Like maybe Vreed, Take, and Comfort. Maybe some of those combos. I think you've seen them. But anyway, doesn't matter.
I just don't remember.
You've seen them now.
Yeah, I saw them now. And the audience seemed to really like them as well as a headliner. They did a good show. Very intense. I must say, was it my favorite headliner of the whole festival? No, that wasn't. But it was
Personally, I like Comfort
Yeah,
better.
Comfort was definitely...
It's more my thing.
Yeah, but also with the audience, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Take was really not doing a bad job. They were having a good show. I must give them that, absolutely. It was a really great show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe it's my personal preference so much. But
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
I give them credit for it because they really did nice way to close your festival with them. Really nice. But maybe it was also like a little bit more distant from the audience than, for example, Kamfar had. Maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just it.
Yeah.
Besides the bands, there's so much else going on. You can go on a bus tour to Oslo. You can go to arts. You can go to some movie thing. There's artists exhibition in the hotel. There's an exhibition in the venue. There's some tattoo conference thing. Yeah, it is quite a complete experience, I think. So if you bought a ticket, you can certainly say you got your value. As a journalist, would I go there again? Being honest, probably not. But yeah, that's for reasons that doesn't go in this podcast probably. But I'm just gonna be honest about it. It was a nice festival to see as an audience, but for a journalist, yeah, that has to be a hobby thing there. That's definitely not something you should chase too much here. But yeah, I think it was a really good festival for seeing all these bands here. They had a good lineup, and I think every day there was something to enjoy for me, for everyone. I think 2 or 3 days were sold out in the end. I think the Sunday probably wasn't, because it was definitely a bit more quiet there. If you have bought a ticket for this year, you can already buy a ticket for next year with a huge discount. So if you're interested in that, they didn't announce a name yet, I think. I'm sure that the lineup will be just as great as what we've seen there this year. For me, that this week I'll be editing some pictures, writing some more deeper review article. Yeah, I'll still have some videos to edit about my month, and you will definitely see a lot of Inferno in there too. I don't know, I have not much to add for this. I think for everyone who considers going to Inferno, yeah, certainly go. And then we're at the end of our episode again. Wow, this was a really interesting special from Inferno. And I hope everyone enjoyed it a little bit, because it's a long one. And we've been talking a lot about these topics. But yeah, if you have your opinions about the things we discuss, I recommend people to leave us a comment somewhere. If it's on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you use, just leave us a comment. We like to read that. And yeah, if many people feel like they have something to say or something we should discuss further, then definitely let us know. We'll look into that. Famous last words for Elvira.
See you next week. Well, you hear me next week.
Which is which is in 2 weeks though, because we do this podcast still bi-weekly. But never mind. We get the point. All right. Thank you for listening, and hit like and subscribe if you haven't done it already, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.